All right, man. We back here with another company breakdown. Today, we're gonna be doing one of the biggest tech companies in the game today. I think when I was reading up on it, I think a couple years ago, maybe 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, they became the 10th most valuable company in the world, and that company is Broadcom. Ticker symbol AVGO. Let me grab my phone right quick because I'm gonna want to show some stuff as I'm like explaining certain things. Because I feel like that'll help some people, you know what I'm saying, learn. Some people need a visual. I'm the type of person that I need a visual for certain stuff. So, yeah, man. AVGO, Broadcom, let's get into it. So, you see the thumbnail, that's the ticker symbol. Let me go ahead and show, I mean, not the ticker symbol, but the logo. AVGO. Images. It's the logo. AVGO, Broadcom, right? Their CEO is a guy by the name of Hawk Tan, and this is Hawk right here. This is what he looks like. I don't know who that dude is right there, but that's Hawk right there in the other pictures. You feel me? Him and Trump real cool. Him and Trump real cool. So like I said, man. So Broadcom is in the IT sector, more specifically the semiconductor and software industry. Mainly semiconductors. That's what makes up the majority of their revenue. I'll talk about that a little bit later. Really big company. They have a market cap of $764 billion. Big ass company. He did 764 billion. Only about 240 more from a billion. You feel me? Year to date, at the time that I did this research, it might change by the time this video drop, which will be it's Sunday right now. This video will come out Wednesday. This video will come out Wednesday. Um, so year to date, at the time that I wrote this down, was up 50%. In the past 5 years, is up 467%. So that's some amazing growth right there, 467%. And they have about 20,000 employees, right? So what? So the little description I wrote down about Broadcom is they're the sixth largest semiconductor company with several software businesses. They service the wireless networking, broadband, and storage and industrial markets of the economy, and they're primarily a fabless designer. So when you're talking about semiconductors, you have a fab, you have the fabrication, and you have the fabless. So fabrication is when you actually where you actually make the thing. So I remember I used to work at a plant, and we made like refrigerators. No, that wasn't the refrigerator one. That was the air conditioning one. I worked at this company called Ally Air, and they had the fab unit, and the fab units was the actual guys that like punch out the metal sheets and like actually like put together the things that we gave us the parts that we need to use to actually build the air conditioning units or whatever. Right. So what a fabless semiconductor would be like, they just design the chip, they just like design the technology and things like that, and then they'll send those designs off to somebody else like Taiwan Semiconductor or ASML, and they would actually like put the chips together. I think they use Taiwan Semi as their main assembler fabrication. They have some fabrication. As they said, primarily fabless. They do some fabrication of like certain things, but not a whole lot. And they have virtualization, infrastructure, and security software. And so they compete with companies like Taiwan Semiconductor, like I just said. And one thing I learned one thing that was, I'm not gonna say shocking to me, but it was like a oh wow type of moment. But when I found out so many of these companies that compete with each other actually work together as well. So that was interesting. It's like the United States and China don't fuck with each other for real, but use each other for a lot of stuff. You feel me? So yeah, they compete with people like Taiwan Semiconductor, Advanced Micro, that's AMD, Qualcomm. Qualcomm is really heavy in like the wireless like space, like with phones and stuff like that, like 5G, all that stuff. Texas Instruments, if you know the calculator people, that's actually a semiconductor company, and Nvidia, of course. Uh, so they have a PE, a price to earnings ratio of 142, and the industry median is 29. So kind of overpriced in the terms of valuation when it comes to price to earnings. Their cash to debt ratio, they have a decent amount of debt. Their cash to earnings ratio, cash to debt ratio is 0.14. So they have about $14 billion in cash, and they have about 40 billion in debt. And a lot of that debt came from when they that VMware acquisition, when they bought VMware from Dell. They took on a lot of VMware's debt, so that has something to do with it too. But still, 40 billion in debt is a lot. But I will say, with a company like Broadcom, you kind of take that with it because they're so ingrained in the fabrics of technology today. Like if you look into it, you'll see like Broadcom has a hand in everything. They especially have a big hand in a lot of broadband services like TVs, like TV service and things like that, and like cable and all of that. They have a big hand in that. If you look into it, you'll see what I mean. So their weighted average cost of capital and their return on invested capital, if you don't know what that is, your WACC basically being how much it costs you to borrow a dollar. Your return on invested capital is basically how much you get back for how well you can invest a dollar. Like if I put a dollar out into the ether, what can I do with that dollar to get more money back, right? So their WACC is 11.09. So it costs them about $11 to borrow a dollar, and and their return on invested capital is about 6.31. So they get back about $6.30 for every dollar they put out there in the ether, right? Their return on assets is about 3.83%, and their return on equity is 10.11%. Their net margins is 10.88%. That's pretty good. I think once you get into that threshold of 10 and above, that's really good for companies. And then when you get into like the 20s, that's just amazing. And net margin, I think Nvidia got net margins of like 50. So you see why Nvidia be running it up like that. You feel me? So they have free cash flow of about 17 billion, which is great. Over the past 5 years, they've been growing that free cash flow at a rate of 17.6%. Let that sink into your skin. 17.6% free cash flow rate over the past 5 years. They do pay a dividend. It's not a super big dividend, but they pay a dividend. Their dividend yield is about 1.24%. So if you take that and multiply that by the current stock price, which I don't know at the moment, so I'm going to get on Yahoo Finance. Actually, I have my laptop right here. Well, I have my other monitor right here. I can just look it up. Yeah, that one I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start looking stuff up as I talk during these. And one day I'm gonna figure out how to do screen sharing on here. I might just start using Zoom or something. Yeah, did I spell Yahoo Finance wrong or something? So Broadcom pays a dividend of $2.12 per share. $2.12 per share. Right? So their revenue, they've been growing their revenue at a rate of 12.2% over the past 5 years. And I don't know why I didn't write down the actual revenue from the most recent. Let me see. I only wrote down the growth rate. I didn't get it. And where my pen at? I'm gonna write this down too. Okay, so they have revenue of 46 billion. 46 billion 815 million. All right. They have an operating cash flow of about 14 billion. So your operating cash flow is money that you make just from your lines of business, not no money that you invested, no money that you made from like selling something one time or something. Like, let's say if they were to sell off one of the businesses they own, that wouldn't be counted in your operating revenue. And as far as earnings go, so in my last video, I told y'all that you have two different ways of looking at earnings. You can look at earnings with non-recurring incidents, and so you can look at it with or without those incidents. So one of those non-recurring incidents would be something like when they acquired the company VMware. That's non-recurring. So you can kind of look at the two ways to look at earnings a little bit differently. So without those non-recurring incidents, they have beat earnings 8 out of 8 times. But with non-recurring incidents, they have only beat earnings 2 out of 8 times. So do with that information what you will. All right, so they have 2 business segments. They have 2 lines of business primarily. They have the semiconductor business and they have the infrastructure software business. And if you don't know what a semiconductor is, I'm going to give y'all the Google definition. What is a semiconductor? I'm going to really break this down for y'all. Okay. So a semiconductor is a material that has an electrical conductivity value falling between that of a conductor such as copper, insulator such as glass, and an insulator such as glass. Its resistivity generally falls as the temperature rises. Man, a semiconductor is like the chips that go in phones and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like that make things work. Like this computer, or like my phone, or like the monitor, or like the TV, or like your car, like the electric car, like not even the electric cars, even like regular cars. If you got a radio and they got any type of like electrical appliances and stuff, they got Bluetooth, it use chips. You know what I'm saying? So a chip would be like phone chip. So like chips like this, right? These are chips. These are semiconductors. These are chips. Things like that. Those like will go in your phone, or like you might see them look like this, or chips, right? So that's primarily what they do. So they primarily design those, right? Just like NVIDIA doesn't actually make their chips. They design chips, and they use people like Taiwan Semiconductor to actually manufacture them. And then they have infrastructure software. So infrastructure software is like software that companies use to run like their data centers. So your infrastructure software would be software for your compute, your networking, your storage, and things like that that companies use to run their data centers. That's infrastructure software, because they can't run without those things. So their revenue broken down by my bad. So the semiconductor business is about 78% of their revenue, and the infrastructure software business is about 21%. 78.7 and 21.3. So the regions where they make the majority of their revenue, or how their revenue is broken down by region, I should say. The United States is about 19.5%. China is about 32.2%. Singapore is 12.5%. Singapore is actually where they used to be headquartered, but now they're headquartered, I think somewhere in California, if I'm not mistaken, but they were originally headquartered in Singapore. And other is 35.8%. So now I'm getting to the part where I just tell you some random things, or things I found interesting, or things I think you might find interesting or valuable about the company through my research. So they started as a piece of Hewlett Packard, HP, the laptop company. It started as a section in that company. It was called HP Associates, and it was the semiconductor division at HP. They went public on the Nasdaq in 2009. They had, and then in 2013 they acquired the company LSI Corporation, and this is what helped them move to the mainstream industry of designing chips, especially chips for the storage of like large scale data centers, right? So in 2013, that's when they made that leap into that space for real. Because remember, I said they're really big in like the broadband space for like TV and cable and stuff like that. I think they sell like the boxes. They make like a lot of the boxes for like cable and stuff. So a couple of years ago, they actually wanted to buy Qualcomm, right? Remember I said Qualcomm is one of those companies that they compete with. And they wanted to buy Qualcomm, but it was actually blocked by the Trump administration. So Donald Trump said, hell nah, we ain't letting y'all do that. And one thing I learned what antitrust meant, I think it was an antitrust thing. So antitrust when it comes to companies is like, when businesses, like if this company wants to buy, if this business A wants to buy business B, they're saying like, if business A buys business B, it'll be a problem because then they'll have too much of the market. They'll control too much. That's what antitrust is. So you see Google is going through like antitrust suit right now because they say that they basically, the way I look at antitrust is basically the regulator saying you're too good at your business. Like you're too good at what you do. That's how I see it. So what Google's thing is, I think they're saying like other like advertising companies really don't have a fair shot at, being a real player in the game, basically, because of the way Google does business. You know what I'm saying? Like I know Apple was going through something about antitrust, because so every app on the App Store on Apple's App Store, every company has to pay Apple 30% of whatever they make. I don't know if it's still like that because of the thing what they went through. I don't know. It might still be going on. I don't know. But that's why they were saying like, hey, I got to figure out what happened with that. I'll look that up later. But yeah, that's antitrust. Basically, when you too good, in my eyes, when you too good at your business. When you too good at what you do, them folks gonna say, hey, cut it. You feel me? But so their business strategy. So the way Broadcom grows is they spend a lot of money on research and development, but they spend a lot of money on the companies that they acquire. Say they have a growth by acquisition type of business model. All they do is buy companies, and it's a thing that Broadcom strips the value out of companies. They take all the thing. I'm not gonna speak on it too much, but that's what people say. They say they buy companies, strip all the value out of it, and jack up the prices. That's what people say about them. But that's how they grow, buying other companies and adding to their portfolio of property, of intellectual property and things that they own, right? So in 2020, they actually tried to sue Netflix, right? And you might think, why would a company like that want to sue a company like Netflix? Well, remember I said that Broadcom is really big in the broadband space when it comes to like TV and cable and things, right? So I forgot what Broadcom said the basis of their, I think they said it was like unfair practices or something. Because like a lot of people don't have cable. Like people just have streaming services. Like I don't have cable. I have streaming services. I have Hulu. I have Netflix, and that's really all I got. And I use YouTube. I don't really watch. The only time I really watch TV is to watch CNBC. I got somebody's Spectrum account. I don't know who on it is. Shout out to my dog for giving it to me. But I watch CNBC and I watch sports. And other than that, I don't really need cable, right? But critics say that they just wanted to sue Netflix because they're taking business away. Because like I said, a lot of people don't have cable anymore. Like a lot of people don't have house phones. Back in the day, house phones used to be a big thing. Like everybody had a house phone. They had a cell phone in the house number, like call the house. Now I know a lot of people don't have house phones. Like, why the fuck would I get a house phone? You can just call me on my cell phone. You know what I'm saying? But I ain't gonna lie. When I get a family though, I'll probably get a house phone. Now that I think, I'll probably get a house phone. Now that I think about it, like, yeah, get the house number. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't need. You know what I'm saying? A little bit of disassociation. So yeah, some people say they was just trying to sue Netflix just because they was taking too much business away and they was hating. So shit, who knows? Um, so one of okay, I'll get to that. But okay, and another thing I wrote down is that their NICs are used by Apple, HP, and Raspberry Pi. So I think one of their biggest customers is Apple. Like, Apple uses Broadcom chips in all of the iPhones. If y'all didn't know that, I think about a decent amount of their revenue comes from Apple. I think about 20%, but I'm gonna get to that. So what a NIC is a network interface card. So a network interface card is what actually like connects your phone or your laptop to the network. Not necessarily the internet, because every network isn't connected to the internet, but it connects it to the network. Like, your network would be, okay, my laptop, my phone, my TV, my PlayStation. All of that would be on the same network, right? And then from there you can connect that network to the internet. But the network is the NIC is what connects all these things together to the network, right? So they have customers such as Tyson Foods, Alaska Airlines, Honda, Boeing, Comcast. What is this? Oh, Hershey, the chocolate company, and Grindr, the LGBTQ dating app. So over the past 10 years, they are third in S&P returns. Over the past 10 years, they're the third. I need to look and see who was number 1 and 2 for the last 10 years, but they are number 3. And I think it's that in terms of like revenue. No, not in revenue, in returns, in stock returns. I'm lying. I don't know. I just said that. They are number 3 in stock returns for over the past 10 years. And they were like I said, they were the 10th most valuable company. I think they said that in like 2020 or 2023 or something. That's when they hit that mark. So a little bit about their board of directors. I like to look at that proxy statement, get the down low on the BOD. You know what I'm saying? The D low and the BOD, the BO double dizzle for shizzle. So 44% of their board has cybersecurity expertise. 100% of their board has global business expertise. 55% of them have manufacturing and supply chain experience. 77% of them have experience in the semiconductor space. 44% of them have experience in the software, and I wrote CC, but now I don't remember what CC stands for. CC, software, CC. Let me see. Broadcom proxy. I'm gonna look it up right here for y'all, so I can go see what that CC stand for. We gonna scroll. CC. What the CC stand for? Cloud computing, software and cloud computing. Yeah, maybe cloud. Had to write that down. And 77% of them have experience in tech and innovation, and 88% of them have experience in business strategy. All right. So their board of directors have held positions such as COO of Google. They've held positions at Intel, Splunk, Norton, which is the security company, DirecTV, SiriusXM, and Oracle. Right? And one of the things I wrote down about, so two big risk factors of this company is that a small number of customers account for a large portion of their net revenue. So 35% of revenue comes from 5 customers, 35% of their revenue, and 20% comes from Apple. So I don't know if they mean 20% of that 35 or 20% as a whole. I think it's 20% as a whole. And they get a lot of their materials from a small number of suppliers. So if any number of their suppliers were to, and I think that's in reference to the semiconductors when I said they use like TSM to manufacture their actual chips. I think that's what they're referring to there. Like they only use like 1 or 2, maybe 3 people to do that, to actually make chips. Right? And now I want to talk a little bit about the CEO, Hock Tan, right? So Hock Tan, he went to MIT and Harvard. And I don't have too much on him, but he went to MIT and Harvard. He's held financial positions at GM, so General Motors, and Pepsi, which is something I didn't expect when I was up there. He held financial positions at Pepsi. In February of 2024, so this year, he joined the board of directors at Meta. He joined the board of directors at Facebook. And that's important because, you know, Meta is at one of those companies that's at the forefront of this AI push. And for AI, you need these chips, you need these data centers, you need all this power. And Broadcom makes the chips. So put it together, folk. Put it together, man. So yeah, he joined the board of directors at Meta. So that was I found that really, really interesting. And so he got his style of being a CEO, like the way he runs businesses and like cutting costs and things like that, from working at places like Integrated Circuit Systems and Integrated Device Tech. So he's really big on being super efficient. He wants to run a very lean business. Like one thing he did with the VMware acquisition. So VMware used to have a whole lot of different products and different SKUs and different ways you could put things together. And if you don't know what a SKU is basically like a product or like a product line, like the way you put something down on I'm gonna just look it up. I'll be like, you know how you know something in your head, but you don't really know how to put it in words to explain to other people. Stock keeping unit. What is this? Yeah, stock keeping unit. It is a distinct type of item for sale or purchase or tracking in inventory, such as a product or service, and all attributes associated with the item type that distinguish it from other item types. Yeah, so VMware had a lot of those, and what they came in and did was they simplified everything. Now, you got 2 things you can buy. You can get VCF, or you can get VVF, and those are basically like 2 bundles of software. VCF being the top one, VVF being like the one with less things. Right. So, yeah, man. That's AVGO. Broadcom. If you got any companies y'all would like me to break down, you know, throw that in the comments. You feel me? If y'all like these, man, let me know. You know what I'm saying? Go watch my other one I did on Viva Systems. You feel me? I really like that company. But, you know, one thing that I just learned, I was watching Trapper Tuesdays, and this is not about Broadcom, this is about Viva Systems. I just, you know, but so he was saying how the companies like Salesforce and things like that are in trouble because of AI. And it's like one of those things like, why would I need a CRM to do these things for me when I can just get the generative AI to do it? And that made me think about the business model for a company like Viva Systems, because they are a CRM, but I mean for the life sciences, but they're still a CRM. And yeah, they're based in the cloud, But I'm thinking like it'll be easy. I feel like it'll be really easy for them to implement AI into their products. I have to look more into it to see like what type of AI they use in their products, if any, right now at the moment. But it just made me think about that, like how would that company be affected just because I know about it now. But yeah, that's it, gang. Peace.